Hello and welcome to FPL Natty. In this video, we are going to discuss how my team did in game week 1, the first game week of the FPL season. How did I do? And is there some changes that I should make after the game week we just had? Do I bring in Harland? Did I have Harland? If you remember from my last video, is there any change I need to make in midfield? How did my differentials do? It's a mixed bag, really. So let's get into this video and you can decide if I did okay or if I should make some changes to my team. So if you like this video, like it down there, subscribe, ring the bell so that you press the bell below so you know where my next video is going to be. So let's get right into it. So this was my team originally, 4-4-2 with Salah and Kane as my captain. Salah and Kane with Salah as my captain and Kane as my vice captain. None of my bench players played because all my first team played, and these were my points. So that total is 57. It's okay. In the world, I am 4,137,259. That sounds crazy right now, but it's so early in the season that it doesn't really matter after game week 1. 57 isn't okay. I think that actually was the average point score for the week, so it's not too bad. It wasn't worse than average, it was kind of on par, but if you look overall, it's not too bad. We can discuss this in further. Let's have a look. So starting with Raya, when they were playing Leicester, they were looking a bit shaky. Brentford straight away 2 goals. I thought it was going to be 3-4, but luckily Brentford saved the day by getting 2 goals. Leicester's defense is obviously shaky, so shaky. I'm really worried about their defense going forwards, to be honest. But Raya did put in some good saves, so I think going forwards they do have some good fixtures, so I'm not too fussed that he only gave me 2 points for this game, because I think there's going to be points coming for him going forward anyway. And with Trent Alexander-Arnold, they had Fulham away, and literally, oh my gosh, Liverpool need to wake up. I'm so glad that I didn't have a double Liverpool defense, because if I did, that would be just 2 points from 2 defenders who cost so much. Trent is like 7 million or something like that. No, 7. Yeah, I think it's 7.5. So the fact he walked away with 1 point, so disappointing. He was at fault for the Mitrovic header as well. There was no attacking returns. He didn't have his best game, but again, with Trent, you have to have him in your squad. He's a template player, and I know that he's going to come good in the future, so I'm not too fussed about that. Next was James. James gave me 7 points. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that. You helped me there. Chelsea had Everton. Everton are shocking. They're not very good. But it was only a 1-0 win they had, which was a Jorginho penalty, I believe it was. But James was solid at the back. Clean sheet, 2 bonus points. He's still highly owned. I think over 40% owned. So, he's not a differential. But if you wanted someone to go cheaper, you could go for Koulibaly, who looked fantastic. But again, he won't necessarily give you attacking returns that James can definitely do from being a wing back position. So just have a look at that. Chelsea's next game is against Spurs, so this could be a tricky one for them in terms of getting some points, particularly in that defender spot. So just look out for that. But I'm going to keep James in my team, and then we'll go from there and we'll see how it works. Walker, he was good. They had West Ham away, completely played them off the park. I think possession was like 75% to City, something like that. So when you're talking about numbers like that, it was always going to be difficult for West Ham to penetrate that defense. So pretty easy day at the office for him. Clean sheet, easy 6-pointer. He didn't get any bonus points, unfortunately, but for 5 million, he's going to stay in my squad. A very cheap City defender. Ownership around 10%. So for me, that makes complete sense to have him in my team and going forward. So I'm happy with that. And another winner on my team was Gabriel. They opened up the Premier League season against Crystal Palace. The defense was looking so strong, particularly when they brought in Saliba was there from the start, the 21-year-old, and he is fantastic. We can discuss him a bit later, but yeah, Gabriel got me 7 points, which was the clean sheet and a bonus point as well. So I'm definitely very grateful for that, and he's going to stay in my squad as well. Going on to my midfield, not so great. If you look across there, Bailey 2, Salah 24, Bowen 2, Diaz 2. So let's start with Bailey. He had a really quiet game. He did last 90 minutes, which is a good sign, but it wasn't good. I think, Stephen, this is what Gerrard said. He said, from our point of view, we lacked quality in the final third. We controlled large parts of the game. We've had lots of possession. We've got into good areas, but our quality was off today. Our last pass, our last cross, that little bit of inventive spark, and we just got nowhere near enough to creating enough. So that could be worrying for creative players like Bailey, and possibly if you have Coutinho in your squad. These are flair players, so if they don't necessarily show up, you know, to the park on game weeks, it could be, so is it worth swapping them out for another one around that 5 million, possibly to 6 million mark, just to see if you can just rotate it a little bit. But I'm gonna keep him in my squad for a little bit because he does have some decent games in the next few. So I know he had a bit of an off day, but it does tell you just from this opening game that they had against Bournemouth, a team that came up from the Championship, that you can't necessarily rely on pre-season to define how good a team is going to be. So that is something just, you know, to take note of for the next game. My captain Salah, he turned up 12 points, and he was my captain, so he gets 24 points. So I got no complaints about that. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 bonus points. He is the GOAT. He always scores on opening day. I think he scored 6 times on opening game day for Liverpool. So I got no complaints about that. Up next, they have Crystal Palace, where he scored 7 against them before. He is most likely going to be my captain. I think it's between him and another player I'll discuss a bit later. But Salah, you know, he is nailed on. The only thing that slightly worries me is when Nunes comes on the pitch, because Nunes plays so centrally, Salah then gets pushed more out to the wing, and he doesn't necessarily come inside as much. He will pass, almost like a De Bruyne kind of role, but on the wing to make those passes into the final third for Nunes. So that is something to look out for, depending on how much Nunes plays. But Salah is not moving from my squad. He is a fantastic asset to have, and he brought me 24 points, so I definitely can't complain about that. Now Bowen, he didn't show up, like, just not at all. He wasn't in the game for one bit, but they do have a good run of fixtures now. They got Forest, you know, West Ham have got Forest, Brighton and Aston Villa. So there is a good chance that against those teams, one of those are the recently promoted Championship team, and you know, Brighton and Aston Villa are mid-table teams, and West Ham do have history against those teams in a positive sense. So I do expect Bowen to come good. If he doesn't in the next game week, then of course I'll swap him out. He is like 8.5 million, and there's many fantastic players that, you know, I have shared in my other videos. I'll link it up there, that will tell you all the different options that you have at that price point. But this is what Moy said about the game. He said that City was so good, they were tactically outdid them. They played differently than that, you know, last season, with both fullbacks in the middle of the pitch like midfielders. We worked hard to try and replicate what they did in that game. It was a case of trying to stay in the game. That just shows how much on the back foot they were. And with players like Bowen, who likes to be in that final third of the pitch to try and score goals, they had no chance because City's high press was just too much for them. So on to the next for him, and then we'll see how that goes. Diaz, he actually had a good game. He did only give me 2 points in terms of his return, but this was totally a game of fine margins. He had a shot that was disallowed for offside, I believe, and then another one hit the frame of the post. So it's just one of those days where it wasn't his, but he is a definite hold. And I think with a skillful player such as him, I think he came off in maybe the 80th minute, something like that. So he will play more than 70 minutes. So there's no risk for me of rotation. Even when Jota's back, I think Jota will have to earn his place. So Luis Diaz is a definite hold in my in my squad. But 2 points this week, let's move on to the next. As I said, they've got Palace next, so let's see how he gets on with that. Gabriel Jesus. Okay, so this is probably one of the most owned players in FPL right now. Right, I think 70% owned, 75 between that. He only returned 2 points. Okay, he blanked, fine, but he was fantastic on the pitch. He is super impressive, a nightmare for defenders. He's on the shoulder of them the whole time, plays with his back to goal a lot of the times, likes to cut back inside, through passes, everything. Very skillful player. But he's staying in my squad, 100%. But I was just checking not too long ago, and over 200,000 of you guys have already sold him. And I don't know what you're doing. Arsenal have a great run of fixtures. This guy is a goal scorer. He's nailed on asset for Arsenal. So I really don't know what you're doing selling him. Don't do that. It's just, yeah, just don't do that. And last but not least, you know, my players was Kane. He did okay in terms of how Tottenham played, but in terms of returns, yeah, again, didn't do anything. Tottenham won 4-1, 4-0, I can't remember, and none of those goals were scored by Kane, not one. And for me, he felt like he wasn't 100% fit, which can be a slight worry. He was cramping a bit later on, but I don't know. I'm in two minds about Kane going forwards. And I will tell you why. There's one person, and his name is Erling Harland. Okay, that is the reason why I am a bit unsure about Kane at the minute. And over 600,000 FPL players sold Kane immediately after the City game, which meant, listen to this, that Kane's price went down to 11.4. And guess what? I didn't sell him. And up next is Chelsea for Kane. So what can he do against that? He scored against Chelsea before, but it's been a while, and I am unsure that he is going to produce the attacking returns needed to warrant him staying in my team going into game week 2. So let's have a look at who I'm thinking of bringing into my squad to maybe spice it up a little bit. First on my list is Erling Harland. He definitely has to be in my squad, particularly for the main reason of how we destroyed Bournemouth. Like, first game debut, the guy is so fast, he's so strong, he's skillful. He actually, no, what did I say? I said they played Bournemouth. No, they beat West Ham, sorry, but they're gonna play Bournemouth in the next game. Yeah, he against West Ham, a proven Premier League team. Harland just took them apart in terms of his strength, his skill, and everything like that. And up next, City have Bournemouth, who I believe they're gonna just wipe the floor with. And not only that, Haaland's price, as I mentioned before, went up. As you can see, it's gone up to 11.6, and Kane's has gone down to 11.4. Both are on penalties, fine, but in terms of the fixtures going forward, City have Newcastle. After Bournemouth, they've got Newcastle, Palace, Forest, Villa and Spurs. They can win all of those games. The only difficult game out of those next 6 is Spurs. So Haaland is definitely going to be in my squad, and obviously most of FPL, over half, as you can see, that of FPL agree with me, and that's why his price has gone up. Kane's price has gone down 20% now. 20% of you guys own Kane. One of those is me. So that therefore means there is a 0.2 difference between those two players. Now my team was already maxed out at 100. So for me to get Haaland, I need to take a hit. Take a hit in game week 2. I'm stressed. So do I keep Kane or do I take out Haaland? Do I keep Kane or do I bring in Harland? That really is the dilemma for me right now. But I think I just have to do it. I don't really have much choice in it. So that means taking a hit. And if I'm going to take a hit, there's only one player that I'm going to move out. And that player is Gabriel. I'm going to move him out for Saliba. Purely because Saliba was absolutely fantastic. He is a beast. He's been away in France for 3 years when Arsenal bought him when he was 19, and he's been on loan at various few clubs over there in France, and he's come back to be an amazing centre back. He was strong, he had great leadership skills, he didn't have any yellow cards, he's a clean player. I think over his loan time he didn't get any red cards and got only a handful of yellow cards. So he's a very clean centre back, and for only 4.5, I think with the ownership you lot are sleeping on him, and for me it makes complete sense to bring him in for Gabriel, take that hit of -4, but knowing that I've got 0.5 in the bank so I can make the switch to Harry Kane. So I know it's a bit early to take a hit, but you know what, I have to do it. I don't really have much choice. So there it is. That is my review for game week 1. 57 points. It's okay, but there are definitely some changes that I have to make to ensure that I can stay on top and I don't get left behind. If I don't bring in Harland and he smashes it against Bournemouth and Kane blanks again against Chelsea, I'm going to be in some serious problems early on. And not only that, it's going to mean I'm going to just be behind the curve, and I'm going to make some more changes a bit later on. So it doesn't make sense me holding on to Kane for only a -4. It's just a -4 really, and I can make that up with some of the other differential players I have, who I'm going to give a chance to over these next game weeks to see how they get on. And I may make some changes as I carry on, but let's watch this space on this one. So that's it for this video. If you like it, please subscribe and share, hit that bell notification so you know when my next video is going to be. Comment below if you think I should make some other changes, or you know, if there's some other players that I should be thinking about. Let me know in the comments below, but until then, I'll see you in the next one.